Is it appropriate for one of your folks to say, if Fetterman had eaten a vegetable, he wouldn't have had a stroke? Is that appropriate?
The campaign's been saying lots of things, both of them. My position, and I can only speak to what I'm saying, is that John Fetterman should be allowed to recover fully, and I will support his ability, as someone who's gone through a difficult time, to get ready. However, at some point, he has to either work with me to allow the American people and the Pennsylvania voters in particular to hear us debate so that they can see where I am and where he is. Or he's got to acknowledge that he's got far left radical policies he doesn't want to defend.
Yes, Dr. Oz obviously can't speak to what his campaign is saying, only what he himself is saying. After all, it's not like the campaign is supposed to represent the candidate or anything, right? This came about when Oz's senior communications advisor said, quote, if John Fetterman had ever eaten a vegetable in his life, then maybe he wouldn't have had a major stroke and wouldn't be in the position of having to lie about it constantly. And just as an aside, if you were wondering how Oz could be doing so poorly when it comes to communications, that probably has something to do with the quality of his communications team. Anyway, in response to that pretty depraved suggestion, Fetterman fired back saying, quote, I had a stroke, I survived it, I'm truly so grateful to still be here today. I know politics can be nasty, but even then, I could never imagine ridiculing someone for their health challenges. And that's to say nothing of the fact that the campaign doing the ridiculing is quite literally that of a doctor. But you know what they say, first do no harm, unless you can exploit it for a U.S. Senate seat as a Republican. And in case you were thinking to yourself, okay, well look, it wasn't Dr. Oz, it was his campaign, sometimes people say stupid stuff. Sure, absolutely. But in that case, when you're asked point blank if it was appropriate to trash a stroke victim, just say no, it was stupid, a member of our staff screwed up, it won't happen again. Instead, Oz did the usual politician double talk and carefully distanced himself, pretending that somehow his own campaign doesn't represent his own views. Because why would Oz's campaign represent Oz? And of course, Oz uses this missed opportunity to fix his campaign's mistake to instead again attack Fetterman for not debating on his timeline. First off, Fetterman already said that he would participate in a debate, but they've also said that it'll happen on Fetterman's timeline, not Dr. Oz's. Why? Because the guy just had a stroke and he might need a minute. And you would think that of all people on the planet who might understand that, it might be the guy who purports to be a medical professional. Now, while we will absolutely see a debate between these two at some point, let's not pretend that we don't already know what they support. Oz, in true Republican fashion, is in support of an abortion ban and stripping women of their bodily autonomy because he doesn't think a woman should have agency over her own healthcare decisions. He's promoted Trump's stolen election lies. In other words, the guy is a rubber stamp, run-of-the-mill Republican spouting off lies and seeking to assume control of other people's bodies. And by the way, for the most in-depth and devastating deep dive that you will ever see on Dr. Oz, check out the video link right here on this screen to find out all about his shady past. That link is also in the post description. But any way you cut it, Oz is no different than Donald Trump himself as far as policy is concerned. Fetterman, on the other hand, supports reshoring jobs in the U.S., cutting taxes for the middle class, banning Congress from trading stocks, slashing out-of-pocket healthcare costs, and legalizing cannabis. And by the way, if you want to call for Biden to deliver one more huge progressive win now that he's canceled between $10,000 and $20,000 in student loan debt, click the link right here on the screen or in the post description to call for the White House to remove marijuana as a Schedule I drug. Any way you cut it, Fetterman is pushing for an agenda that benefits the working class, while Oz is pushing for an agenda that, well, that benefits himself and people like him. So I'm sure Oz and his campaign will continue to throw whatever Hail Marys they can to resuscitate his flailing campaign, but Oz has already shown exactly who he is. When your biggest claim to fame is that you're a doctor, and even you can't manage to defend a guy who had a stroke, that pretty much says it all. When these people show you who they are, believe them. Before you go, couple things. First, if you want to support my work, the best way is to subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button is right here on the screen. And second, if you want to see and hear more from me, check out my website, briantylercohen.com. That way you can get links to my podcast, merchandise, ways to donate to voting rights organizations, and so much more. The thumbnail is also right here on the screen, so go check it out. And as always, thank you so much for watching.